How do you keep learning a language when life gets in the way? Language learning is a game of consistency, and sometimes you feel quite disheartened. You feel like everything around you is more important than that. Everything around you is more important than your hobbies, than your passions. And even though you really want to learn a language and you've been very consistent, it is a practice that you start putting away, start putting that aside if you have bigger problems. I don't know if you've ever been in a position like that, but language learning is a lifelong experience. Today, I'd love to share something which has been quite insightful for me, and I hope this could help you if you're having a hard time. So, without any further ado, let's go. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I am Lemonizi. My name is Lemonizi because I truly believe in language learning made easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, I call myself Lemonizi for that. But the truth is that language learning is not easy because it's a lifelong journey, or at least a many-year-old long journey. We all struggle at some point because of different circumstances. For instance, we could lose a loved one, we could have issues at work, we could be dealing with a breakup, we could be dealing with health problems, and the list goes on and on and on. And truth be told, I found myself saying the same sentence over and over again for the last at least 6 months, which has been, I'm on a roller coaster. Oh, it's been a roller coaster recently. It's been wild. It's been strange. Oh, I can't figure out how to find a balance. And sometimes we go through these periods for many months, for very long periods, which is not optimal, of course, but at the same time, that's life. And as a language teacher, I see this frequently. If you're new here on the channel, I teach Italian and English. In my life, I feel like the psychological aspect of language learning is very frequently neglected and obscure to a lot of people. I hear many of my students say, oh, I didn't have the time, I don't know why I'm struggling with the language. But the thing is, it requires energies, it requires consistency, and it requires a lot of hard work, which we basically need to put in. If you're dealing with some problems, it is very likely that language learning, which is frequently an additional step in your routine, or maybe a hobby, or maybe something you really like, but again, it's time consuming, energy consuming. You decide, okay, maybe I'll just read a bit less, or I'll skip that lesson. I have seen a lot of students give up their lessons and postponing and deciding to do it another time. And then you begin this cycle of saying next time. And at the end, you end up not doing it for 3 months, 4 months. And it's very hard to go back to this. And I have had these periods, and somehow I've always managed to go back to languages, and I found myself to be quite resilient in that. So today I'd love to share how I'm doing it. If you are dealing with something traumatic or difficult or strange, it is truly healthy to say, okay, I'm not studying today, I'm not reading that today because I have other things going on. This sole idea prevents a lot of the mental burnout we might be dealing with if we instead say, oh, I should have studied yesterday 15 minutes. Everybody has 15 minutes, but sometimes those 15 minutes are way more useful if we have a walk, even without our headphones. We don't have to make every single moment productive. So if you decide to lay down and look at the ceiling, or you decide to just have a coffee, you hear the advice, oh, when you have these silent moments, you could be listening to a podcast, to a video. If you have a lot on your plate, it is a good idea, in my honest opinion, to actually let go. Just be kinder to yourself and to your brain, because you're dealing with something, and it's okay if you're not learning a language, if it's something you must not do for work, for example. If you're not forced to do it, it's okay if you don't. Nevertheless, that might seem banal. I think it's not, because we live in this extremely fast-paced society where productivity is like number one. If you're not productive, you're nobody. And even though this channel and language learning is a big priority for me, because that's basically what I have studied my entire life and what I'd love to also become as an adult. Language learning is a big chunk of my life, and I've dedicated so much time to studying languages, filming videos. So feeling like pausing, it feels hugely threatening, and you are afraid of risking losing all the progress. But if you force yourself to do that, I think that's very, very scary as well. I found myself many days with the sense of guilt of not learning a language, guilt of not doing something which I love, but I don't have the energies to do. Get rid of that guilt. Just allow yourself to rest and to unwind, and it's okay if you're not learning a language. If that was something you wanted to do, at some point that thing will knock again at your door and you'll get back to it. And languages are kind, they're welcoming, and I think the moment you decide to go back to it, a very nice thing to do is just doing something you love, something you enjoy. I love watching videos, so I just love to choose a video I like. Maybe I don't understand shit about it, but that's okay. I just start to listen again to the language and I fall in love again with that language. I try to get back to what I really used to like about it, because we tend to fall out of love with a language if we stop for months and if we feel guilty towards it. It's all right. I also love listening to music, so maybe I just decide to listen to random songs, random singers, random bands, and that's something that has helped me a lot. You could, for example, purchase a new book. You could start a new book, and maybe you have 4 books which you were already reading. That's okay. Start something new. You'll get back to what you were doing if you really feel like it. Also, I highly recommend not comparing yourself to others, because there are people who are doing fine, or maybe they are grinding. So if you compare yourself when you were at your lowest, and some people are just extremely driven and lucky enough to be in a good moment in their life, and you start comparing the two situations, that's a mess. That's so hardcore and that's so heavy on your chest. At least that's how I felt, because I have a lot of people whom I follow who study languages, and I saw their progress. I saw how they were moving forward, and instead I was like standing still, or I was just like hibernating, and my language progress was basically zero. It's okay to regularly check your goals and also be realistic with yourself. And in all of this, you really need to be kind to yourself. What is really important is not to confuse laziness with self-kindness, or patience to heal, patience to feel better. For example, if I feel like I have lost a lot of the language, a lot of the habits, and I just feel out of my comfort zone in that language, you should just try and give yourself 1 or 2 weeks of just whatever thing you do, it's okay. If you study, it's okay. If you don't study, it's okay. If you don't understand anything, it's okay. If you understand a lot, that's okay. I decided to apply the rule of 0 expectations. So I went on a flight recently and I decided to take this magazine with me, and I had 0 expectations. Like, I downloaded a translator on my phone, an offline translator. I said, all right, maybe I won't understand a single word of it. So I started to read, and to my biggest surprise ever, I was actually quite confident while reading this. I understood so much vocabulary, and this was insane because I had stopped with French for some months, but somehow I retained a lot of it. The mere fact of expecting nothing out of it made me so much more confident in starting again. I was also on a flight, so I didn't have many other choices because I didn't have several options. Like, I had one book downloaded. I don't have Netflix, I don't have Spotify, I don't have those. So I said, okay, I don't have many options. I could be either reading, maybe the book I downloaded, or I could be sleeping. And that's it. This was such a big surprise for me, and it really motivated me, and it made me feel much better. This is what I have done, and this is what has helped me. Every journey is different, but in order not to give up, or in order not to just feel excruciatingly and terribly guilty towards yourself, feeling like you're not doing enough, feeling like you're behind, just understanding that it's okay to halt, to make a break, to just unwind for a while. That's been extremely important for me. Maybe some people would love an easy fix and an easy solution, but I think that there are different periods of our lives, and it's okay to sometimes just be wise enough to understand when something could not be a priority in that moment. And it's also nice to learn how to go back to something you truly enjoy. You'll see videos with different hair. I am filming this video in May, but I have videos which I have filmed and I have not edited months ago, so you'll be watching those soon enough. If you're learning Italian, I highly recommend subscribing to my second channel where I share Italian input content. I speak Italian in a slow, sometimes faster way, and I teach you expressions, words, and I share my journey. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye.